Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just finished watching Andor episode 6, and yeah, this is I guess you would call it the final part of the first or second arc of the show. It's all divided into these 3-part, little arcs, so yeah, second arc, third part, yeah. And the heist has finally happened, and I will say this. At first, the heist is happening kind of just as planned. And then things just start ramping up with the tension during the final act of this episode. Things just get real crazy, goes in directions that I did not expect it to go. Because look, whenever you have a heist, like Mission Impossible or whatever else, right? You know that things are not going to go as directly planned, right? Like things are obviously going to go wrong. But it's always a surprise how it goes wrong. That's where it always kind of shocks you. And this episode successfully did that. So we start off, of course, we're still here on Aldhani, and right away we get to know a little bit more about the people of Aldhani, which I think maybe we could have used a little bit earlier last episode, just because I don't think we've seen any citizens of Aldhani until now. And it feels like maybe they should have done that earlier, because now we're finally getting kind of the Imperial mindset of these people, in fact, we get some kind of I don't know, just blatant bigotry right away from the Empire. This guy is talking about how the Aldhani people aren't capable of having more than one thought at a time. Their brains just can't handle it. It's as if they're not. I don't know, as if they're not humans also or something. I don't know. It's just this real crazy stuff that the Empire is talking about, Anyways, basically they're gonna let the Aldhani people in to watch their Festival of the Eye, as they've been talking about. But they do mention how there's been fewer and fewer Aldhanis coming to watch this Imperial sanctioned viewing party, basically, where they have to go through the Imperial checkpoints to get to this specific sacred spot, in order to watch it. And I believe it's the same little secret area that we saw last episode. And yeah, just everything's going as planned. When the Aldhani people arrive, our rebel crew manages to, disguise themselves and sneak in while they're escorting the Aldhani people to where they're supposed to go. And everything's going fine, Of course, they have that Imperial commander guy on their side, so he's telling people all right, you can stay up here, don't leave your post, because don't listen to any noises that you might hear over the radio, And then things start to go horribly wrong. They manage to gather everyone around, and by the way, we see some shady stuff from the rebels this episode. This is our, I mean that's kind of the whole point of the show, is how sometimes the rebels have to operate in a morally gray area, because basically they have to take this higher up Imperial commandant, or whatever his name is, they have to take him hostage down to where all the money is, because they need his handprint to get past these gates, right? But his family's with him, and they have to hold the family at gunpoint and tie them up, and the wife is just do whatever they say, and it's he's got a 12-year-old kid with him, and then the rebels they literally just say hey, there's 2 routes here, either we win and get away, or we lose and everyone dies, it's and they're pointing guns at this guy's family, so it's the rebels just taking the kids hostage now. I don't know. It's they certainly don't show this in the cartoon shows, holding small children hostage. Ooh, so it's just kind of that thing where it's did they know that his family was gonna be there today? Probably not, but they gotta take this guy. They need his handprints. So, you know what I mean? It's okay, anyway, so they take him down there. They have a whole bunch of Imperials already down there in the vault, and I don't know if maybe they knew they were going to be there. Hopefully they did, because they have these, it's a vault. They have these stacks and stacks of money in these giant metal containers, and there are hundreds of them. So they have to like force these guys to load up the ship for them, which is good that they were there, I guess, because it's gonna take like 30 people in order to load all this stuff up, and they don't get everything right. Like their timetable, they're already running late. Some people were hesitating, I guess, just out of nervousness, I guess. So they're kind of running late. They're a little bit behind schedule because obviously, remember, they're using this celestial event of the eye to cover their escape. So they have to be able to leave right when that's happening. So they're kind of running late, and then along comes this other Imperial. I don't remember everyone's like rank or whatever, but this other guy, he had started hearing their chatter over the radio, right? He was like, okay, something's going on. So he heads down there, and of course he sees everyone, and they try to, the Imperial guy that's on the Rebel side starts to be like, Corporal, go back to your station. You're not supposed to be down here. And he's looking around. He's like, what's happening down here? Why is all our money down here? Why is the Commandant injured? And the Commandant had like a heart attack or something. I don't know what was happening here with him, but he like slumped over, and that was interesting. But of course, this starts this huge shootout, and like the tension starts rising, and they lose a couple of people on their side, and then they're loading up the money and they're trying to escape. And unfortunately, as they're escaping, it seems to only be the three of them, by the way. Like it's Andor, it's I think his name is Vern, the blonde lady. And then our guy with the manifestos. I think a couple of them were left on Aldhani. I don't know if like the plan is to come back for them eventually, or how that's gonna work. But yeah, those are the only three that escaped inside the ship, right? And they lost, I think, everyone else. Oh no! There's a fourth guy. The dude with the tattoos who does not trust Cassian. That guy was also there, and he'll be important in a second. Yeah, but they have to escape through the eye, and there's a pretty fun chase sequence. And these TIE fighters were already getting ready, so I guess they were called in ready to expect this to happen, maybe? I don't know. But the TIE fighters start giving them chase, and they have to, like, make it through these little, I guess, okay, the eye, the celestial event, they described it as, like, what, crystals exploding in the atmosphere or something like that? Anyways, the TIEs blow up as they're escaping through that. And then they eventually go to a doctor because as they were escaping and they're like raising up, one of the giant containers of the money, which, it's like these gold credits inside a giant metal canister, it slides down and it crushes the guy. What's his name? Kern or something like that? The guy with the manifesto. The kid who was like just saying all this great, amazing stuff. And we got some more quotes this episode, which I didn't write down. I kind of wish I wrote down. But, it crushes him. And at first he's like, I can't feel my legs. And you're like, oh no, is he going to be paralyzed, or is this injury much worse than it seems? So they rush to a doctor, and, this is where we've seen in the trailer, this like four-armed doctor guy's like working on him. And outside, Cassian and the guy with the tattoos, I didn't know if this was like a test or what, because he's talking to Cassian and he's like, hey, how much do you think is in that ship right now? There's 80 million credits in that ship. How about this? 40 million each. We go to a moon. We just leave right now. We get out of here. I can't pilot the ship without you, so I kind of need you to, we'll split it. You pilot the ship. We get out of here. We walk away. We're just done. And this guy's basically like, yeah, I'm just... sure, I'm a rebel. I am on my own. I don't care about, like, this whole group thing, right? Which is crazy because he was the one who didn't trust anyone. He was the one who was being all like, oh, I don't trust you, Cassian. And now it's his idea to just leave everyone, which, oh, come on, right? It's like, Jesus. Anyways, so this guy's trying to convince Cassian, like, hey, come on, we're the same guy, right? Like, we're totally the same. I don't care about any of this rebel stuff. We can take this giant haul of money we just stole and just leave. And then Cassian shoots this guy real suddenly, and it's like, oh, dang. And at first you're like, okay, so maybe Cassian believes in the cause now. Maybe he's going to join the Rebel Alliance, and he's like officially going to become a member because he's like, wow, this guy was going to steal the money. But that's not what ends up happening. He goes inside, and first we see that Kern, right, the guy with the manifesto, unfortunately, he has died, so his injuries were worse. So he's gone. And then Cassian walks in this room at gunpoint, right? I mean, at holding them at gunpoint. What's her name? Vern and the doctor. And he's basically like, all right, I'm going to take the 30,000 that I was promised to do this job in the first place, and I'm going to take the doctor's ship. I'm going to pay him some money for your ship, and I'm going to leave. I'm just going to get out of here. And then he's like, that other guy was about to like try and steal all this money. And she's like, he wouldn't do that. And, Cassian just leaves it like, well, hey, you believe me or don't, I'm getting out of here. And it seems like he's just going to leave. But then Vern gives him the manifesto. He's like, yeah, he wanted you to have this. He insisted. And so he takes it, right? And that's the last we see of Cassian in this episode. So, it does seem like he's definitely going to take the ship. He's going to take the payment he got, and he's going to probably head back home, I imagine. But he's going to have this manifesto with him, which I feel like what ends up going to happen is he's probably going to read this thing, and it's going to like get in his head. You know what I mean? Like he's going to like read this thing over and over again because he's going to feel bad that the kid died, right? Like, and again, that kid was like the one that he really befriended in this whole group. So like him dying but leaving behind this manifesto, that's kind of like the ideas are going to stay behind and live on inside Cassian's mind now, So, I think that's exactly how Cassian's going to eventually really join the cause. He's going to come back and he's going to be like, all right, let's work together, And then we see a little bit of clips of ISB and Mon Mothma and just kind of everyone reacting to the big news. In fact, Mon Mothma is in the middle of the Senate trying to plead on the behalf of the Gorend, or this group of this species that's gonna, she mentioned how they were starving a couple episodes ago, and the Senate's like empty. And so we see a couple of people leave, and I don't know if it's because this big news on the radio that we see Lutheran gets told about how like, oh yeah, this big rebel attack on Aldhani, it's the news, it's everywhere, and he's like delighted and laughing. And I don't know if like the Senate was like emptying out because this news had happened, or if the Imperial Senate is basically so much of a joke at this point that, you know what I mean, like half, like the majority of the Senate doesn't even feel the need to show up. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's really the point of what we're seeing here, like how empty it was in there. Which that definitely sounds like what would happen in the Imperial Senate, right? Because like they don't have that much power, right? They might have some power, but not that much. So like if a lot of them are like, why even bother showing up anymore? Like that kind of seems like the reality of the situation under the Empire. But yeah, so their big rebel attack has made the news, and I don't, again, they didn't take all the money, so I wouldn't say it was like a complete victory, but they got enough that it was like definitely noticed, and we'll see the ramifications of this, I'm sure. But Cassian's gonna probably just head back home with his money, and I'll be honest, I hope he doesn't stay there too long. I hope that maybe Lutheran comes back to him and be like, hey, come on, let's go do another mission. You know what I mean? Like you had the chance to steal this money and you didn't. So some part of you does care, like some part of you is a good person, right? So come on, let's go do another mission. Let's go up against the Empire. We'll do something else, right? And most of that rebel crew is like dissipated at this point, right? They're all like, half of them are gone, and they're all separated. So it's like, we're gonna find a different crew now, and maybe Cassian's gonna be in charge of this one. But it's interesting because Cassian even gave back the Kyber crystal back to Vern and just be like, hey, just give this to your friend. I'm done, I'm out of here. So yeah, that was the end of that, and we'll see what they do next. Look, Lutheran seemed pretty invested in getting Cassian to actually join the cause, so he's not going to just let him walk away from all this. And also, is Vern even capable of driving that ship with all that money, right? Like, didn't they need Cassian for that? So it's like, how is she gonna get off this moon with the Doctor, right? Like, how's she gonna get out of here with all the money that she has now? But yeah, overall, it was pretty good. The tension of like the mission, and then all the twists at the end of that guy just being willing to completely betray everyone and leave. I didn't see that coming. That was actually like a surprise. Okay, that guy's willing to leave. So yeah, overall, Andor, pretty good. I'm still like, it is this thing where it's like the whatever sort of overarching plot is like developing, it still seems pretty slowly happening. We didn't get any of what's his name, Cyril. We didn't get any of him this episode. This was all very focused on the mission. So yeah, hopefully next episode we finally like, the rebellion or these rebel cells are going to be taken more seriously, and maybe some people start putting the clues together of like, oh, someone on Coruscant and someone is pulling the strings and having this all happen, and someone's funding it, but yeah, pretty cool. And I guess we'll just see what happens next episode. Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye.